We conclude today the fourth letter. We're speaking about two layers of the heart, external and internal. The external means it's a means to an end, and how we get to the heart. We need the mind. Actually, I shouldn't say that. It's yes, it's external in the sense of it's a means of the mind that gets to the heart, because we understand and aware of the greatness of God, our relationship with God, God's presence in our lives, and that then brings a feeling in the heart. External, meaning because it's not the essence of me. It's not the core of me. How do I get to my core? The core of my heart. How do I get to the inner dimension of the heart? Which is imprisoned. Why is it imprisoned? Because the exile of the Shekhinah, of the divine presence, which is that part of my soul within me too, is an exile. With the first destruction of the Holy Temple, the Babylonian exile, it's an exile. Meaning it's very deep, a part of me, and it doesn't reveal itself. The Alter Rebbe explains in the first part of Tanya, chapter 19, that it does reveal itself in a time of giving up your life, because one is called upon to sacrifice their life for their faith, and not to adopt or to buy into any other faith. But to live with that, how do we get there? That core, that self-definition of who I am. So the Alter Rebbe explained previously that we can touch it sometimes through prayer. Not very easy, because that inner dimension is about the inner part of my heart, as opposed to the outer part of the heart, which is something that I can circumcise. I can take the negative parts of my heart, I can cut it off. Meaning the coarseness of my behavior, my speech, my thoughts, I can deal with that. But the inner dimension, that God is really my life, truly my life, that's a much more subtle membrane that needs to be removed, that is covering on that truth. When can I do it? Some of us, can't say it's me, can do it in prayer. Prayer is that opportunity that we can touch the inner part of our heart that will remove the subtleties of our desire for things, and that will be transformed for a desire for God, that He is my true life. Now, that is called Chai Yeshua, life in the moment of prayer. We can reach a deeper place. But that's a gift from above, and we don't all have the opportunity of touching that place through our prayer. But there's another way, and that's today's class. And that is through an effort from below. Is that when the effort comes from within, although prayer is also very much an effort from within, but this is even a deeper effort from within. And through that brings an elevation from below, brings a revelation from above. As we know that in order that one drop of rain should fall from above, 2 drops of mist have to rise up. Meaning, in order to get something from above, we have to have something given from below. So that's the way it works with rain. That's a metaphor for us to understand that if we want a gift from above, just as rain is a gift that brings life, so likewise, if we want that gift from above, it has to start from within, and a deeper part from within. That means beginning with circumcising, as we gave the metaphor, that circumcising the outer part of the heart, but now we have to circumcise to get to the core, the innermost point. We have to reach that. And again, what is that inner point? That inner point is life itself. Not things, well, life itself. The innermost point is the love of God, that we, for the sake of our lives, we love him. Now, this, for the sake of our lives, there's a counterpart from the holiness to the unholy. And what is that? Is that a person can dedicate their passions and desires to be fulfilled for their entire life. What I want, what I have a passion for, that's what I dedicate myself, I immerse myself, and I give myself over entirely to get what I want, to get what I desire. That's from the negative side. The positive side is that we transform that. We transform that my inner desire, my inner passion is that God is my life. So where is this going to express itself? You know where it's going to express itself? In money. How much do people, including ourselves, give ourselves over entirely, whether sometimes, all the time, many times, definitely from time to time, we give ourselves over, occupy ourselves in business and making money, and giving our inner selves over entirely. Giving ourselves over entirely to that. Now, the truth is, if you're very hard-pressed to make money, you really have to give yourself over, to make some money. And sometimes it's a very hard work. You give yourself blood, sweat, and tears, as the old saying goes, to make that money. It's understandable, because we got to feed our families, take care of our loved ones, right? Now, so there's a passion there. There's a giving yourself over for life, because this money can buy your life too. Meaning it can buy your food that gives you life. And now if you take that money and distribute it to tzedakah, to charity, and you distribute it joyfully, even though you had to work hard for it, and even though you are going through difficult times, and yet you give away your very life in charity, joyfully, with a full heart, that redeems our soul. That redeems the innermost point of our soul, because the innermost point of our soul is that God is our life. Now we gave up something that is money for my life. Again, there are many dimensions. A rich person could also use it for their betterment of their life. The one who isn't wealthy works very hard and puts blood and sweat and tears in it in order to have a morsel of food for their life. So it is their very life. And yet they give it up, or at least a portion of it, right? That is redeeming the innermost point of the soul, of our heart that's in exile, in captivity, as we've learned. This is the idea of charity. It redeems the innermost point of our heart that is imprisoned in negative forces. Negative forces because, what are the negative forces? As we explained, money and things could be what I give my life over to have things. desiring things, whatever the things are. And this is, as we explain, Priya is the second element in the circumcision process of the covenant of the male organ, right, that's circumcised. There is the cut, and then the Priya is removing the membrane back. And that is the subtle inner part of our heart, representing the inner part of our heart, the more subtle things that we need to be able to take out of it, redeem it from its imprisonment, which we're talking about now. So the word priya also means paying back, removing a debt. You have a debt and you're removing it. What is a debt? Debt means I'm sunken in debt, meaning you're, metaphorically, you're sunk, you're imprisoned, your innermost part of your heart is in debt to negativity. And what did you do it? You removed it. You redeemed it. This is what the verse says, Vishaveha b'tzedakah, that the captives shall be redeemed through tzedakah, through charity. Powerful. What charity can do. Remove us from a place, that an innermost part of our heart that only wants God to be my life. And it is imprisoned, that innermost part of me, because I am seeking life in things rather than God. And charity can remove that. Again, because charity can buy my life. And I work hard for that money. Not charity buy my life. Money can buy things for my life to better my life. Basic food. And I work hard to make that money. Blood, sweat, and tears. I put my life into it. And now I'm giving it to tzedakah. I'm being charitable. With this now we can understand what the beginning of this letter, we quoted the verse from Tehillim, Psalms, Tzedek lefanav yahalech, that righteousness or charity shall go before him, before God. Before him, before is in Hebrew, lefanav means lifnim, meaning innermost. How do you get to the innermost aspect of God? Because you have to get to the innermost aspect of yourself. And what does charity do? What does tzedakah do? Yahalech means it causes your inner heart to be able to go before God. Because your inner heart, again, is imprisoned. It needs to be redeemed. Charity redeems the inner heart that it can go before the inwardness of God. That's the concept over here. Unbelievable idea. Now, once I have this, then the result of this is that our steps can be the steps of God, that we shall walk in God's ways. And you should go after God, Lord your God. How? By the performance of commandments, and particularly the study of Torah, which is equivalent to everything. And that will be able to take our inwardness of our heart that's revealed through the service of tzedakah, as we just explained, and allow that intensity of our heart to reach, to ascend to the inwardness of the divine. Something that the external aspect can't produce. External meaning that our minds, we meditate and contemplate about the greatness of God, and it brings us to a feeling of love towards God. That love towards God will not produce the divine countenance of God, the inwardness of God, to shine upon us. But charity will. Tzedakah will. Why? What is unique about tzedakah? Because tzedakah is called shalom, peace. As it says, Pada b'shalom nafshi, that he has redeemed my soul in peace. And our sages refer to tzedakah, the acts of loving kindness, as peace. Well, very clearly, when you're charitable, it really does produce peace in this world, right? We see that in a very simple idea. And in my soul, that the Shekhinah that I have, the divine spark that is in my soul, is redeemed through the act of charity, which is peace, brings peace to my soul because it's redeemed. And this is how we make peace between Israel and its Father in heaven, through tzedakah. Redeeming the souls, truly they're part of God, from the negative forces through the act of being charitable. Extremely powerful idea. And the Alter Rebbe concludes that this is in particular, this is in general, of course, the idea of charity, of tzedakah, but this is in particular applicable when charity is related to the Holy Land, land of Israel. As that's the true charity of God, because there in the land of Israel, the eyes of God are there from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, meaning that there's a specific, unique, providential protection and engagement and involvement of God Almighty in the land, as his eyes, meaning his focus is upon the land, his inwardness is in the land, and that's what makes it holy, because the inwardness of God is holiness. And therefore the tzedakah that we will do will stand forever as the fountainhead of life will give us life and give life, radiate from the inwardness of God. Amen. May it be his will. The Alter Rebbe concludes. So we have a very powerful teachings here. Tzedakah, charity, has such a power because I use it to give me vitality, to give me life. I use money to give me vitality. I use money, or I earn money through blood, sweat, and tears. And now that I give that away, and I'm charitable, I'm giving a piece of my life. That is redeeming the inwardness of my heart that expresses my soul, because the inwardness of my heart is a desire that God should be my life. And indeed he is when I'm giving tzedakah. That will allow that through my tzedakah, which is truly from the inwardness and arousal from within, that now that will create a divine light from above, that the inward countenance, the divine countenance of God will shine upon us, that we'll be able to walk in his way. We'll be able to study Torah and do commandments in a very unique, profound manner that will reveal the true divine soul that we have. Folks, that's a thought worth sharing. Please do share this teachings with others. Oh, hey, my mother is on. Wonderful. Thank you for joining, Mom. Adam from Atlanta. Thank you for joining. Who else do we have with us? Cindy from Florida, and Clem from Brisbane, Erica from Norway, William from South Korea, Melanie from Montreal. Fernando, shalom, and Andrea from Mississippi, Leora, thank you. Nurka, I don't know if I pronounced that right, from Long Beach, Washington. And Tarek from Egypt. All right, folks, sharing is caring. Give of yourself. Give tzedakah. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from my home in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you, Tanya. Have a wonderful day, good Tvach, Shavua Tov, and a wonderful good week.